my thought for the week, and I'm down on the pier today, so just Indy's doing some statics, and I thought I'd take the opportunity to talk about how not only dogs but people learn in patterns, so and how that translates. So you hear me talk a lot about patterns and dogs learning in patterns and the picture and so forth. So let's talk about how that relates to you as the human. So, and I'll give you some examples. I'm going to use a training facility as an example, but I want you to think about this when you go to the park, when you have friends over. You know, things change. So not only does the arousal level rise in your dog, but the distractions rise. Everything's different, you know, so the picture's completely different. And how that relates to you is, without you actually realising, you have learnt in patterns. So we tend to forget that when the circumstances change. So, you know, our dog sits every time we tell him to sit at home, and that's fine. That's great, you know. And we go out for a walk. It's the same walk every time. We go in the same direction every time, and you know, and the dog's pretty reliable on that walk because the pattern's the same every time. But now all of a sudden we're in a different spot, so the pattern changes. And what do? We go to our usual and we tell the dog to sit. They don't sit, and then we tell them to sit again, and they don't sit, and then we tell them to sit again. So, because for us the pattern should be that we tell them to sit and the dog sits. We haven't thought about how the picture has changed and how that relates to the expectation. So, and in doing so, the other thing we do is we escalate. So we go sit, 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 right? And we escalate. So because the pattern, we think, is exactly the same. And if you don't think you're learning patterns, I want you to try putting your shoes on differently or brushing your teeth with your left hand. You know, we do without even realising learning patterns. And our dogs are pretty good at reading our patterns, which kind of in turn trains us at the same time. So think about that when you when the picture changes, you know, and how you are going to change your procedure, not your expectations. So I would suggest you tell your dog to sit. You give them the opportunity to win or fail, and then from that point on, you make sure they do it by putting your hands on and making them sit. And just understand that's the way it is, you know. And that way, you've read your pattern. And the more you can be aware of that, the better. All right. So keep that in mind. Keep training. Keep up the good work. And I'll just sit here and enjoy my view.